And hi there, welcome. It is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and we are on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network, and we are on the exhibit floor at the World Meeting of Families. It is just a beehive here today, Debbie. People setting up their booths for what is going to be an awesome week.
Oh my goodness! Visually stimulate. I mean, I feel like I've been transported to Rome. I mean, the colors are beautiful. It's just there's Catholic, just different elements all everywhere you turn, banners and flyers and streamers coming down from the ceiling. This is an amazing event, Jerry.
And we're going to be broadcasting from the EWTN booth. Our thanks to Tom Price and Elena Rodriguez and really everybody else, Jeff Burson and Michael McCall back at the studio, and Rich Jesse, our producer. And since we are at the World Meeting of Families, we're going to dedicate this entire week of show, Debbie, to family topics. And today we're going to start very foundational.
We are. We actually looked up the definition of family. And what does it say? Well, there's a couple definitions. But, dear listeners, here's the primary definition of a family: a group consisting of parents and children living together in a household. That is the simple definition of a family. We want to hear from your family right now. We would love for you to call in right now and share your take. Give us your definition. Maybe that's too simplistic of a word. Give us your take on the family. 1-800-585-9396.
Yeah, and we know that most who listen to this program, the answer would probably be pretty much the same. Well, a family is mother, father, children, etc., kind of like Debbie just described. We just did an internet search for this. There is another secondary definition list, and this is just in a Google search. I mean, there are tons of definitions of the family online, but it says all the descendants of a common ancestor. So I think, broadly speaking, we're all in the human family.
That's right.
But I think, Debbie, that's an important definition there, because it talks about descendants of a common ancestor. Right. And in certain family arrangements that are being promoted in today's culture, there are no descendants.
Right.
There cannot be.
Right.
And so I
there's
think
immediate disconnect.
There's an immediate disconnect. So we want you, our listeners, to call in, share your takes on really not only what you think a family is or ought to be, but just the state of the family right now. We're going to talk real general today. Where are we in our culture with regard to the state of the family? Is it headed in a better direction? It's certainly been in disarray for a long time, right, Debbie. So we want to hear from our listeners about what a family is, what it should be, and really where we're headed with all this.
So, dear listeners, it's up to you. Call in right now, 1-800-585-9396. The phone lines are lighting up. That's a good sign. Our listeners at Take Two, they call in early. They want to make sure they get on the air. And this is what we want to hear from you. 1-800-585-9396.
And we do know, let's face it, every one of us, no family is perfect. We need to make that point right up front. I've talked about my family situation on the program since we've been on a little over 3 months. My parents divorced. Our father was pretty much not really a part of our lives. My mother remarried a couple times. And, so we've had our, kind of our ups and downs, so to speak, in our own family. So maybe you have too, but perhaps you've tried to kind of end that cycle. A lot of people go through, Debbie, generation after generation of dysfunction and, divorce and family problems. And then finally, one or several members of the family will say, you know what, that's it. I'm going to change this cycle from here forward for my family.
Break the cycle, exactly. And that's important, though, Jerry. When there's family cycles that are broken, the future of the future generations of that family change dramatically in a positive way. This is an exciting time for the family. We need to join together right now and talk about family, celebrate family. We're going to have a special challenge for you coming up after the break, and you want to listen up if you want to get your family on social media, especially on EWTN. So number to dial is 1-800-585-9396. Jerry, the phone lines are lighting up. This is exciting.
And another thing you can call in about, and this is always, we say this every show almost, it's kind of a peer-driven radio ministry, not from me and Debbie to you, but from you to us, to your fellow listeners. So tell us this. Call in and give us your take on this question. Are you a better person for your family experience?
Right.
Or do you feel like the family environment that you came from may have, kind of put you at a disadvantage in the world today, that you've got some issues? We don't need to get into, ugly, messy stuff, but just in general, do you feel like, and what about, are you recently married? And maybe you and your husband or wife, you've made a determination to say, look, we are going to try to live family as God intends it and as the church intends it to be lived. Our number again is 1-800-585-9396.
And I know we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Sonia Corbett just called in. We're so excited. She's going to share with us what's happening on the exhibit floor. Stay with us. Phone lines are lighting up. 1-800-585-9396. Stay with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We'll be right back.
Welcome to EWTN's Catholic Almanac.
Today is September 21st, the feast of St. Matthew, apostle and evangelist. St. Matthew wrote the first gospel of the New Testament. He wrote the gospel in Hebrew, directing his preaching to fellow Jews trying to show them Jesus was the Messiah. Afterwards, he preached in Ethiopia and other countries until he received a martyr's death.
From across the globe, families come together. The Holy Father calls them the leaven of society. This week, EWTN invites your family to a history-making event, the first ever World Meeting of Families in the United States, including Pope Francis's first visit to America. The World Meeting of Families in Philadelphia, September 22nd through the 25th on the Global Catholic Network, EWTN.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. We're on the exhibit floor at the World Meeting of Families, Philadelphia Convention Center. It is going to be mayhem, but a blessed mayhem in this city this week. We were yesterday at St. Francis Xavier Parish. It's the oratory. Father James Dean is a good friend of all of ours, and we stopped by. Deacon Harold Berksivers gave a talk there last night, and the parish is literally across the street from where the papal mass is going to be celebrated, and you could see, Debbie, just the whole city being transformed for the arrival of Pope Francis. So just a very exciting time to be here.
I'm just excited. I want to paint a visual just for our listeners, okay? We're sitting in the EWTN broadcasting booth. We can see across the way Catholic Healthcare Services from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia has got a beautiful booth set up. We can see Third Millennium Media and One Faith Experience and Vocation Boom. And right on to our left is Catholic Answers. Wow, beautiful booth they've
Who's
got.
that?
Catholic Answers.
Who's that? Catholic
Answers? At Catholic Answers.
I know.
I know. I'm teasing you back. I know. Weren't you the creator of Catholic Answers Live?
I started this show, yeah, and hosted
10
it
years.
for 10 years.
Wow. But a beautiful booth they've got right in the center of the exhibit hall, and there's so many more. How about Sarah Club is here, Sarah International. Beautiful, beautiful organization, beautiful tower they've got. It's lit up. Dear listeners, if you are near the Philadelphia area, try to make it to this exhibit for the World Meeting of Families. This is truly amazing.
All right, we have a lot of calls. Lines are full right now. We're talking about what is a family. We're calling this Family Week on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Other topics this week, we're going to talk about adoption. We're going to talk about the blessings and challenges of large families. We're going to talk about the family under attack. So don't miss a show this week. We mentioned that Sonia Corbett is with us, and Sonia is actually at the Third Millennium Media and Vocation Boom booth right now. She's going to be here all week. Sonia is an author, a Catholic evangelist, a scripture teacher. And Sonia, how are you doing over there? She's about 30 feet from us. Hi there.
Oh, my goodness. I feel like I'm wiggling like a little puppy. It is so exciting. I don't even know what to do with myself. It's incredible. In fact, just walking up the stairs and seeing the banners that say the family fully alive, I mean, it inspires me really, as you guys were talking about, really go for it with my own family. And I have, my husband and I both have been those people who have said, enough is enough. We're not doing this anymore. We're not carrying on this awful pattern. And so it just inspires me so much to see all that's happening here and the focus being on the family in the way that we know God made it.
Sonia, you know what's so amazing? You and I both shared this as we were going up that gigantic escalator with all of our luggage and everything for our booth. Isn't it amazing? All the Catholic Christian faces we were seeing, the priests, the sisters, the religious, the brothers, everybody looked so full of joy. Did you feel the same way?
I feel that, and I think it's part of the air here. I think it's one of those times where it is so exciting to be Catholic and to know that, our Holy Father is holding us up, really, in a way, as we do the same for him. But I just feel so excited about I know things are harder on the family now than probably ever have been, but we are standing at the threshold of one of the greatest opportunities of history. And I just know that greater saints, I think John Paul II, St. John Paul, when he said that greater saints will be made now than have ever been before because the times are so difficult and so evil. So we are really at a great opportunity here, and I love the whole feeling of this World Meeting of Families gives you that excitement and that inspiration to just do it. Just do what you know is right for your family and for families in particular.
Well, and something that is really going to help the families, Sonia, and you're actually standing right next to the banner, which we can see you, Jerry and I, you're about 30 feet away, is the One Faith Experience that's coming up in St. Louis at the Chaffetz Arena right on the campus of St. Louis University. It is a mega conference like no other. One Faith Experience will be April 23rd, 2016. And Sonia, you're one of the key speakers.
Woohoo, I can't wait.
This is exciting. Tickets are going to go on sale, dear listeners, on October 1st. But right now you can put your information at thirdmillenniummedia.com. I would encourage you, please go fast. This experience is truly going to be an epic experience.
This is going to be like nothing anybody has ever seen.
Amen to that.
Very good. Sonia, thanks for coming along to the World Meeting of Families, and thanks for getting us kicked off on the show today. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. The One Faith Experience, folks, if it doesn't sound like anything you've heard about before, well, it isn't. But go to thirdmillenniummedia.com. There's just a simple form. You put in your name and your email address, and you'll be on email updates for that event next April in St. Louis. All right, 1-800-585-9396. What are your thoughts, your takes on where the family sits in context of our culture, our society today? What about your family? Did you are you better for the family that you came out of, or maybe you feel like it puts you at a disadvantage in life a little bit? Again, we don't need to get into specifics, but we just want to try and make sense of what the family is supposed to be, and it's an ideal that we all want to strive for. 1-800-585-9396. Let's start with Sharon in Marietta, Ohio. Sharon, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, good afternoon. Nice to speak with you.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, first of all, I am married. I'm Catholic. However, I'm born and raised Catholic, and actually from Philadelphia, so we'll be traveling back for the wonderful Pope visit this weekend.
Fantastic.
However, my husband and I were unable to have children, and yet I consider us to be a family, and we have, nieces and nephews and all of my siblings' children and my husband's siblings' children that we shower with love and attention. So in that regard, I've had to, it's been heartbreaking not to have children. I had it in my heart, I thought it would happen. And so, based on your definition, my husband and I are not a family, and that hurts me deeply. But we are a family, and I have reminded him on several occasions that we are a family, as well as I'm a physician, and I take care of a lot of patients, who come to me when they're ill and have, medical issues, as well as, the social issues that involve being ill. And I consider my patients to be my family also. And I know I've been told on several occasions they feel that with me. And the final thing I'd like to say is Jesus and the disciples, I'm sure that the disciples felt that they were all a family. So I would have to say to you, over the years, I've felt that the Catholic religion, which is my religion, sometimes, does not embrace, unless you have the mother, the father, and the 6 children, which not everybody can control that they have that or not. And I think the Pope is doing a good thing in trying to embrace people that might have left the church, and they might have left the church because some unfortunate circumstances happened to them. I happen to have a friend who's divorced with 1 child, and she still attends the Catholic Church, and a friend who's a widow with several children. She still attends the Catholic Church, but they're also not made to feel like they're part of the, the core of the Catholic religion. And that's what I would like you to discuss. And also, I really feel that needs to be opened up because, like I said, life doesn't always turn out how we planned it.
Right. But Sharon, let me just share a couple things. First of all, Jerry and I shared the simple definition of a family, and that's what we're kind of, maybe if you will, focusing on with the idea of parents and children, because right now the family, the family unit is under attack in the secular world. So that's what we're kind of focusing on right now. But I just want to say to you, Sharon, first of all, I agree with you 100%. Your husband is your family. Absolutely. But also, Sharon, your husband, you are one with your husband, united in marriage in the sacramental union. So you are one with your husband, which is huge. Now, your extended family, your nieces and nephews, absolutely. That's your family. And people that you feel very close to. I have friends, Sharon, that I feel are my family. I would do anything for them. So we're more in line with that. Absolutely. But right now, I think just because of the family with the mom and the dad and the kids is so under attack, we're trying to re-celebrate that, if you will, so that it gives people hope to really keep that family unit intact. Jerry?
Yeah, and I would, Sharon, you may have thought of this before. There are many, many ways to have quote-unquote children. One of those ways is to spiritually adopt children, especially unborn babies. I imagine you probably thought about that as well. And it's none of our business, what your infertility issues might be, but there is the Pope Paul VI Institute in Omaha, Nebraska, that has really helped to actually reverse that for many couples. I don't know if you are at all aware of that organization.
No, we're not. However, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say is that...
Oh, absolutely.
Some people, there is more than one definition of family, and yes, my husband and I do hope to adopt, but I am sort of speaking to hope that you will reach out to, and the Pope will, embrace people that might not have the perfect situation, and it's not by their choice.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what's so great about our Holy Father. He is completely about love and mercy. And I mean, we have the year of mercy coming up. So I would expect we're going to hear more and more about how to celebrate everyone's life. And that's what he's about. He honors life. And that's beautiful. Sharon, what a great take today for on Take Two. And you said you're in Philadelphia, so maybe you'll stop by the exhibit.
She's going to be coming to Philadelphia.
Okay. So you're going to be. Will you come to the exhibit floor and visit us?
Yeah, we appreciate your channel too. It's very helpful and uplifting.
Thank you, Sharon. God bless you. We're going to be keeping you in our prayers. 1-800-585-9396. I think just to kind of pick up on what Debbie was saying, our hope today on the show, we're going to do Family Week. So every day, in fact, we're going to look at adoption one day this week on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. But our goal is certainly to embrace every form of legitimate expression of the family. Just simply when we say what is a family, it's just the fact that 5, 10, 20, certainly 30, 50 years ago, just asking the question would have gotten you laughed out of the room. People would have said, well, of course, a family is, and then explained it. But now we have, same-sex couples and adopting. And I mean, we were talking the other night, you hear about, people marrying their pets and fire hydrant and stuff like this. Folks, it sounds outlandish, but there are, once you've broken free of the moorings of what God's plan is for a family, and that includes people who may not be able to have children, who would want to otherwise. So there's no stigma in that whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's why this is so important that we're here live in Philadelphia. This is an exciting time. This is the World Meeting of Families, and this is the opportunity to discuss at every angle what it means to live in this world as a Catholic Christian, and to and be able to look at things with somewhat of a critical eye, because we want to make sure that we're constantly staying aware. We want to stay true to our Catholic faith, and that's what we want to explore today when we are exploring the families. I know I just heard, Jerry, I got exciting news that Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers just pulled into the exhibit. That's exciting. I hope we hear from him because he has a lot to share on the families.
Yeah, he does. And Kathleen, I'm sure, has something important to share as well. So Kathleen is next on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Greetings, Kathleen. How are you today?
Fine, Father. How are you?
Doing well, thank God. What's your take on all of this?
Well, I want to comment to Sharon. I hope she's still listening. That with God, there's always hope. You never know when He's going to pull a surprise. I was married 12 years, and said, I guess God doesn't want me to have children, and just accepted it and went on. And next thing you know, I have a child, and I have another. I pray for the next child. But, I mean, I ended up having two beautiful girls, and that was one thing. I mean, I just thought I'd mention that since Sharon was talking about it. You just never know what God's going to do. But I wanted to comment that, I come from an inner city Catholic school in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was called St. Anthony's, and it's still there, but I believe it's a charter school now, but I'm not for positive. But anyway, long story short, my parents had problems. I don't know anybody out there that does not have marital problems and ain't going to go through bumps, and you just got to keep loving each other and staying together. And, my mom put up with a lot from my father. She did. And you know what? Even though she did, we were so glad they stayed together because, I mean, that was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, is that they had all of us children. There's 6 of us. One started at 19 for my mom and dad, and the last one was at her 39th birthday. So they had like 2 families. But I'm just saying, little kids, they think so different than adults. And that's just a rock in this crazy, crazy world. It was crazy back then. But I'm just saying, it is the rock, and they depend on the adults to hold them together. So that's just my comment. I think everybody, rich, poor, black, white, purple, I don't care what color, have problems. They're just all different. They're either medical or they're mental or they're drinking or they're this or they're that. And now, of course, we got the internet problems. But I just say, just keep praying and try to stay together for your children. If nothing
Kathleen.
else, and try to be kind to your spouse.
Yeah, I want to just comment on that as we get set to take our hard break here. I could not agree more. I mean, I like to tell people from the time your child literally is in the womb, every word, every action, everything you do, that child is able to pick up and absorb. And I've heard of people who will expose their unborn child in the womb to certain forms of, soothing, beautiful
classical
music. They will. I've heard of husbands, who will lay his hand on his wife's stomach and pray, and they'll talk to the baby. And the baby's not understanding words and stuff, but it's getting used to their voices and the loving actions, the loving words. And then, of course, once the baby's born, Debbie, you've had kids. They are laser focused on mom and dad. And so Steve Wood always says the best thing you can do, husbands, for your wives is love your wife. And so, Debbie, our kids are definitely impacted by everything that the parents do.
Yeah, it's important to stick together. I love what Kathleen had to say. Thank you so much for calling in to Take Two. Stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more calls on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
On First Friday, October 2nd at 10 a.m. Eastern, we invite our Catholic school teachers and parents to hear the call of Our Lady of Fatima to gather your students and children before Jesus in the Most Blessed Sacrament in your parish churches and chapels, spiritually uniting the children of the world in the 13th Annual Worldwide Children's Eucharistic Holy Hour. EWTN Television will broadcast this event live at 10 a.m. Eastern to over 140 nations. For more information, go to childrenoftheeucharist.org. childrenoftheeucharist.org.
Our Catholic tradition defines God's nature as pure being itself. He's not limited to a particular mode of being. If God was limited in his being, existing in this way instead of that way, then there would need to be some explanation for why God is limited to this mode instead of some other possible mode. He could not select this mode of being himself because he would have to pre-exist himself in order to do the selecting, which is a contradiction. So the selection must be explained by something else. But if that's the case, then God would be conditioned by that which determines this mode of being instead of some other. But God cannot have any conditions since he is unconditioned reality. Therefore, God cannot be restricted to any particular mode of being, but must be pure being itself. I'm Carlo Broussard with your Magis Minute, the Magis Center at magiscenter.com.
Friday. Come on and sit down at the EWTN Theology Roundtable with me, Elena Rodriguez, as we chat with host Colin Donovan and his guests about church teaching. You think going through life is like navigating rough waters? Well, try anchoring to the firm rock of the teachings of Christ, the calm in the storm. We tell you how and why right here on EWTN Theology Roundtable, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Thank you for joining us on Take Two on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. I'm Debbie Georgiani, sitting alongside to Jerry Usher, which I don't normally get to do very often, so this is kind of fun. I'm looking across at the exhibit. We're at the Philadelphia, the World Meeting of Families, and I'm looking at Catholic Answers putting up their booth, and wow, is it beautiful. It's got blue upholstery and black background. It's pretty cool. That's
very
high
nice,
tech.
Yeah.
I like
that.
I
wish everybody could be here for this.
I know, this is amazing.
Well, they will be.
That's right.
Because
is it going to be
EWTN is broadcasting all week.
That's right.
Lots of other shows.
You're right. So you can watch it on EWTN TV. Don't forget, dear listeners, we have a challenge real quickly before we get to Kenesha in Portland, Oregon. Jeff Burson, our creative services, I like to call him expert because he's amazing. I hope you're listening, Jeff. But Jeff came up with this brilliant challenge for everyone. If you'd like to celebrate your family, give us permission to post one picture of your family. Send it to EWTN, take2show.com. You can send it there. Jeff is going to post it on Take Two Show. That's take2show.com. He's going to post it there and also on the EWTN Radio Facebook page. But we want to celebrate your family. So send us the cutest, Christmas picture you can even think of where everybody's posing. And like my kids, when they used to post, oh, Jerry, it was hysterical. There was always one picture that either the eyes were closed or somebody was looking down. I mean, we had to take hundreds to get one picture. So send that one beautiful picture to take2show.com.
Very good. Back to your phones, your calls at 1-800-585-9396. We're kicking off our week-long daily broadcast of Take Two with Jerry and Debbie from the World Meeting of Families by asking the simple question today, what is a family? How have you made it work? And how do you, maybe a good question is, how do you still, it's amazing that we even have to explain and defend what traditional family means. But if you've had the occasion to be in a conversation and do that, how did it go for you? 1-800-585-9396.
Did you just see this? Okay, we have a correction to make. When you send your beautiful family portrait, send it to, I stand corrected, send it to Take the number 2 at EWTN.com. Take the number 2 at EWTN.com, and you'll see your family picture. Okay, Kenesha. Sorry to interrupt, Jerry. I had to make that correction.
That's a very important correction.
Okay. Kenesha, how are you in Portland, Oregon? Nice.
Hi.
Glad you joined us, Kenesha.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to glorify the Lord and Holy Mommy Mary in celebrating my family before them. And I just wanted to say that their faithfulness has been awesome. And I just want to say my take on family. I come from a Muslim background, so for accepting the Lord about 33 plus years ago, it was rather harsh. And I was completely, I'm not in contact with any of my flesh and blood family. And so, and just like any other family, there were a lot of cycles repeated of sin and death and things like that. But as I have personally sought to cleave to the Lord Jesus Christ and now to His Holy Mother deeply, and this is what I'm going to testify before the Lord and Mommy Mary for her glory and her son, is that a family consists of a mother and a father and children and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins. And I want to testify, right now I'm currently a single mom with 3 of my kids with me, and that's all. But we have been so enriched as forgiveness and healing and all that has flown into my family all through the years. My mom and dad are precisely the people that, particularly my dad and my mom, I have used as role models for my children. And my grandma, my mom's dad, and my kids, we often talk about her, and I tell them that, no, that's grandpapa's mommy. And so that's mommy's daddy's mommy. And you're just like her, honey. So she was a very gracious and wonderful, warm lady. So my girls, who are teenagers now, 2 of them, and the other one is 25, they're unlike their peers. I'm sorry, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody else. They're wonderful friends. But I just want to be clear to say that they're by peers, I meant the age that we're in, where women are to be haughty, they hurt people, or they're, in the TV we see that, they're supposed to be rude, etc. Well, thankfully, my girls are not, because we are not that family. We had a family where my grandma was a lady, where my dad is an honorable man, and my children honor and love, and they look like them. And so it's a very, very warm atmosphere in my own home. Right. And so when all is said and done, what remains like love and truth is the family is the holiest and the strongest and most faithful bond that the Lord has given to mankind.
Well, it sounds like you've been blessed, Kanisha, with a beautiful family, an extended family, and something that you said really, and I want to thank you again for calling in to Take Two. I love the way you say Mommy Mary. I just love that. It's so endearing and beautiful. But Kanisha, I something you said early on when you first spoke, and it just made me think of in Scripture how when we talk about Jesus as brothers and sisters, and so many want to say that it's his literal brothers and sisters, when in fact it's extended family and friends. And so, it's interesting. I mean, to look at this word family and to bring it into a full Catholic perspective, I think does absolutely embrace the extended family. And that is, it's just, the Catholic Church does it right, you guys. If you're, here's what I would suggest. If you're not Catholic, but you are listening to the show or listening to EWTN, please inquire about RCIA. I will tell you, just to sit in the class, I was a part of RCIA for many, many years teaching it, and I will tell you that people that just enroll and sit in RCIA learn so much about how the Catholic faith really does it beautifully and how we honor every element of every human being. I love being Catholic, Jerry.
It's a great gift, and we certainly, I echo Debbie's encouragement to anyone who is not Catholic. It's not a commitment. You're not signing on the dotted line. You're just learning more about what the Catholic Church teaches. But Kanisha, back to your call. I want to thank you for calling from Portland. You're a devoted listener and caller to the show, and we appreciate that. We have just jammed phone lines here, so we're going to move on, Kanisha. But give thanks to God, and I know it sounds like there's such gratitude in your voice that you thank God for the family that you have come from. Not everyone has that blessing, and so that's why it's important that we have a world meeting of families, that we promote what God's plan is for the family, the Church's idea of the family. There isn't a perfect one. We all are imperfect, but we all must just simply try. And God understands. If our hearts are in the right place, God will understand. So, Kenesha, thank you so much for calling. We're going to go to Wendy next, right here in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. And Wendy is listening on Sirius XM 130. Wendy, welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi.
Hi, Wendy.
Wendy, can I ask you a question before you share your take?
Sure.
Where's the best place to get a Philly cheesesteak?
I have no idea because I'm coming in from the World Meeting of Families.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
We're literally on the road. We're on our way to our host family's house. We're going to be staying with the host family.
Okay, because it said here you were. So you're not from Philadelphia.
No, because I told them, I said we are literally on the road.
Oh, they have you as
from Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do then for you. We're going to look up where's the best place to get a Philly cheesesteak and tell you, and then maybe we can meet there for one.
Well, I can tell you some.
I think it's Gino's and Pat's. They're like right across the street from each other.
Gino's and Pat's.
Well, some of us got in the other day, and so yesterday we went to a place called Joe's Steaks. I think it's on Baltimore Pike.
It was good?
It was fantastic.
Joe's
but
Steaks.
Anyway, we digress. Wendy, what's your take on the family today?
Well, and my take is my husband and I are both adopted. We have adopted a son. And I know what one of the callers was going through because of infertility. Both of us suffered through infertility, and it was we didn't feel like a family because it was just he and I. And then the more and more we just surrendered to the Holy Spirit, the more we found our spiritual family, the more we gave it over to God. Mm-hmm. And we found our family. And next thing we know, we have a 7-year-old Haitian boy who is now our son. He's now 22.
How amazing. And what is your son's name?
Our son's name is Jeekson.
Jeekson. Oh, my goodness. That is such a blessing, Wendy. What a great story.
Yes, people compare us to the Holy Family. I was like, no.
Wow.
The only comparison is there's a mother, a father, and a son. And sense of humor helps in a family too. But
wow.
It was literally we surrendered. We said no, we're not going to go through infertility treatments. We've seen how marriages break up through a lot of that. That's so pressure, just the pressure of going through the infertility treatment. And we had come to a conclusion: whatever happens will happen. It's in God's hands, not ours.
Right. Wendy, you know what? You say something that is so important for all of our listeners to hear. It's interesting. Our human nature is to not release control. And that's just how we are, kind of predisposed. But when we let go of that control, when we give it over to God, God has a much better plan for us. And it's all about trust in our faith in our Lord. And look what our Lord did for you and your family. How huge is that?
That is it's absolutely major. And just the whole evangelization of our son being with us. Mm-hmm. I'll stop by the booth and give you a synopsis probably later, but it's just everything that when we allow God to come into our lives, when we allow God's plan to happen and not ours, we have this son who has brought us closer and has connected us to people all over the world. I mean, literally people from all over the world, and it's our family is growing, and that is our spiritual family, our Catholic family, and the World Meeting of Families is so important. I feel God through our son pulling us, my husband and I, just pulling us and saying, "Come on, bring the rest of my family back." Our son has been an evangelizer.
Well, that's fantastic. Wendy, I want to invite you, Debbie may have mentioned this, we have, there's EWTN has a huge booth. You can't miss it. It's literally probably 150 feet from the main exhibit hall entrance here at the World Meeting of Families. So please stop by. when you're facing the EWTN booth, at least in one of the directions, just turn around because we're right across the way at Third Millennium Media and then my Apostolate Vocation Boom. We would love to make your acquaintance when you're here. I just want to mention we are staying with a host family here in Philadelphia, Tom and Susie Coffey, and Tom is the brother of Father Joe Coffey, with whom I was in the seminary about 20 years ago. He went on to get ordained. We were together for 1 year in seminary. Tom and Susie adopted 3 children that have turned out to be they're siblings.
Amazing.
I believe they're Mexican, I think they said.
Mexican-American.
And one is in the Navy, one just got married and is having kids, one is in Barcelona doing graduate studies. So, yeah, this is a beautiful way. And the next show coming up after ours, the doctor is in, Dr. Ray Garendi. He and his wife have 10 kids, all adopted. So, Wendy, just want to thank you for that. We got a ton of calls here. I hope we can get to all of them. But please come by and see us at our booth at the World Meeting of Families and drive safely on your way here. We want you to get here in one piece. And it's beautiful that you're going to meet the adoptive parents of your son. That's fantastic.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
All right, we're going to go next to Joe in Natick, Massachusetts. Hi, Joe. Welcome. You're listening on the Station of the Cross. How are you, Joe?
Fine, thank you. Say, the family today, that rings a bell with me because when I met my wife, we were going out a first date. I said, when you get married, how many kids you want to have? And she said, scads. How many do you want to have? And I said, scads. And she said, what if we don't have any? Well, we'll adopt. And we went into marriage with that attitude, and God blessed us with a big family. We had 7 boys and 5 girls, and my wife gave birth to the 12 kids in 20 years. So every year and a half, approximately, we had a new baby in the house. And people were saying, well, how are you going to feed them? Hey, God provides, The strong faith in God. And we liked parochial schools. We sent them to the nuns of the Sisters of St. Joseph in the Boston area, and then my wife got breast cancer and died, So the 12 kids grew up believing in God, had strong faith in God, and now the kids have 27 grandchildren.
Wow.
Praise God.
Yeah, and now we got 3 great-grandchildren and another great-grandchildren on the way. And so we really, a strong faith in God, stay close to the church. That helped us through any trials. Really, we never had any big trials. We had strong faith in God, and my wife had a strong faith in God. Right now, I'm looking at Planned Parenthood and the heck that's causing with abortion, and so I picket once a week in front of the abortion place, and I want to say about the abortion thing, you don't hear too much about that kills the baby, but it kills all the descendants.
Right.
And sometimes we have meetings, and it used to be one rabbi. He passed away, but he'd come to some of our meetings against abortion, and he'd say, don't forget all the
descendants
that they're wiping out. And so
absolutely.
I said, well, it's hard to really tell, but I took my grandmother. My grandmother had 6 kids and then 27 grandkids that I'm one of, and then 103 great-grandchildren. Wow. And then 138 great-grandchildren. And then
it's a big family, Joe.
40 more after that. So,
well, hang on a second, Joe, because Debbie, this is, what I love about his story is Joe asked his wife, how many kids do you want to have? I think he said scads. She asked him, he said scads, and then they talked about what if we don't have kids? And so there was this openness to whatever God wanted. We've had a couple of callers today unable to have children, and I've never been married, so I don't know the pain of wanting kids and not,
right,
at least in a marriage and not being able to have any. But God knows in His wisdom, in His providence, Debbie. We don't know why, and it doesn't, alleviate the pain necessarily. But in the case of Joe and his wife, they said, God, if you don't want us to have kids, that's fine. We'll be a family like this.
Right.
And God says, okay, now I want you to have 12 kids and
Isn't
all
that so
the hundreds of
12?
other. Yeah. So isn't that, yeah.
It's amazing. Joe, can we ask you, what is your wife's first name? We'd like to hold her up in prayer. Joe?
Joan.
Joan.
Her name was Joan, yeah.
Beautiful. We love to pray by name for everybody. And
Yeah.
Joe, you are just blessed with your beautiful, large family. You have totally and incredibly blessed our show today on Take Two. Thank you for calling in and sharing your take on your beautiful, large family, and blessings to you. Many, many, many more grandkids and great-grandkids to come, Joe. God bless you. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to try to get to everyone. We only have a few more minutes. Where time is getting short. This show goes very fast. So we're going to Linda in Boston, Massachusetts, also listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Linda. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hello.
Hello.
As far as family is in my life, I'm the oldest of 6 children. My parents had drinking problems. I was responsible eldest, and I feel as though it has affected my decision making in my life. My parents got badly drunk for lots of years, so I forgive them. And then I got married, and I married a person that drank too much, and he was already married before with no children. And I had just left the church at the age of 25. And I really, really tried to make everything work. We got married in 1985 by a woman minister. And I had 3 children. And by the way, the third time I got pregnant, I had said to my husband, I think we should have another child. We just had our second. And he said, what, are you crazy? Because he was thinking about the money part of it. And I said, well, think of it over the night. And he did. And he said to me, no, we can't have another one. We can't afford it. And thanks to God, I was already pregnant. And I had a beautiful daughter. And I have 3 children. And one is bipolar. And my other daughter is gay. And my other daughter just got married in the Catholic Church last year and is having a baby, which is planned for Christmas Day. But I'm divorced and I'm annulled, and I tried everything to keep the marriage together. He was verbally abusive. And that's just a little short background, but my gay daughter, who is absolutely beautiful inside and out, just married her gay friend this weekend. And during Easter, I went to confession, and after Easter, I usually go every 3 months, and both priests, one priest in Florida, said I could go, it's okay to go. And then at the La Salette Shrine in Attleboro, Massachusetts, again, I brought it up just to make sure, and the priest said, why not go? She's your daughter. And then I've been with Mother Angelica. In my heart, she brought me back to the church. I believe every word she ever uttered out of her mouth. And I think for coming back to the church, I wouldn't even be talking to you on this phone if it wasn't for her. And I bought the dress, I bought the purse, I bought the shoes. First, I was reluctant, but I told my daughter I would go to this wedding. And I also watch EWTN, and I was watching about the program on Jeanette's show about the consecration to Jesus through Mary. And you have to do it on a certain time, on a certain day, for 33 days. And on the
Linda, forgive me, Linda. We got about 2 minutes left, and I don't want the whole rest of the show to go by without Debbie and I just commenting on a few things that you've said there. You've offered a lot for us to consider here. What could you just take 10 seconds? What is the nugget that you would maybe ask us to offer thoughts on right now?
Confession before my daughter's wedding, I brought it up again, and the holy priest just made me realize that I couldn't go. So I didn't go to my daughter's wedding, who I love so much, and I'm hurt inside. And I got priest on one end saying to go and priest on the other.
Okay,
And
now Linda, we got the nugget of it. I'm sorry, Linda, we're just up against the clock every day.
Right, Linda. So we've got to go fast. So and you can continue the conversation. You can email us on take2.com. But here's the thing. You went to a priest, so some priest told you could go, and then you decided in your heart you couldn't go. This has nothing to do with the love of your daughter. You love your daughter unconditionally. You're a mom. You love your daughter. This has nothing to do with that. You have to separate the two issues. And so if you chose in your heart not to go, personally, Linda, I agree with that. I totally agree with it, not to go. I would not go if it was my child. Okay, doesn't mean I don't love them. So I just would love for you to separate that. So please relieve yourself of that guilt because you love your child unconditionally.
I would say the same thing. It's and really the loving thing to do is the truthful thing to do. And you mentioned, Linda, that your daughter is beautiful inside and out, and Debbie and I would have no doubt about that whatsoever. I don't know if I can speak for you, Debbie, but sure. I have friends who are gay and lesbian, same-sex attraction. I try and keep lines of communication open.
Me too.
If I go to a city where they live, I offer to come by and visit. They know exactly how I feel and where I stand, but that doesn't mean that they're not people,
And you love them.
And we love them, and we need to love all people, no matter what. It doesn't matter, what they do. A woman who's had an abortion, somebody who wants to attempt marriage, because let's face it, 2 men and 2 women cannot be married just by the simple metaphysical definition of what a marriage is. So as hard as they may try, they are not married. But that's, again, kind of getting away from the whole question of how do we acknowledge, confirm the human dignity of such people without necessarily affirming the decision to go against what would really be God's law for marriage.
Right. And so, Linda, I hope that brings you comfort. And I personally feel you did the right thing. And your daughter, she knows you love her. We're moms. Moms love their children. And sometimes we have to do the right thing to keep that principle and to keep the truth, like Jerry said, going strong. So I hope that brings you some comfort, Linda. And God bless you for calling in to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're broadcasting live in Philadelphia. There's more calls on the line. We are so sorry. Jerry and I like to get to everyone. Keep the conversation going on take2show.com. That's take2show.com.
One last thing I wanted to mention on that real quick. It has to work both ways. You have to express your feelings to your daughter or son, and then you have to ask them, please, if you love me, respect how I feel about this.
I love that.
It's got to go both ways. It's Family Week at the World Meeting of Families. Jerry Usher, Debbie Georgianni, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Tomorrow, the dynamics of large families.
Oh, I'm going to
Until
love
then,
that.
have a beautiful and blessed day.